A bullet nearly took a Lubbock man's life, and for months it took his voice. Now Florencio Rivera is sharing his story of survival after a deadly shooting rampage.
KCBD News Channel 11's investigative reporter Shaylee Kidwell has this exclusive interview in tonight's Discounted Danger Report.
This warehouse looks identical to the others on the block, and the neighbors aren't too nosy. So why is this building wrapped in security cameras? We counted 14 in total. The warehouse once housed Richland Entertainment, a game room that operated 24 hours a day. Florencio says he and his mother enjoyed gambling together, and on Monday, March 13th, she suggested they try their luck here.
It was on the way home, and she said, come on, Milo, let's stop at this one.
Florencio says she didn't have to twist his arm.
I've been to that game room several times. I knew the staff members there pretty well.
Florencio says he won and called for an employee, Chris Rios, to redeem his winnings.
He just kind of gave me the thumbs up, and he'd be there in just a second.
But Chris never made it to Florencio.
The door opened, and I heard a loud pop.
Florencio says he turned and saw Chris on the ground.
I was trying to run to my mother. I stood up, and everything locked up, and I hit the floor.
Florencio says he heard his mother yelling for him, but when he tried to answer, his voice was only a whisper. His mother was in pain too.
She shattered her kneecap falling, so she crawled over to where I was at and was trying to figure out what happened. And I told her that I'm not okay, I got shot.
Florencio says he started to lose feeling as his mother screamed for help.
At this time, the game room owner had told us, ran in there and told us to get out, and they locked the doors, and my mom was screaming that, you know, how are the paramedics going to get inside and whatnot. So they left.
Florencio says he remembers sheriff's deputies running in, and he remembers that ambulance ride to the hospital where he learned the bullet was lodged in his neck.
Found out they couldn't remove the bullet without causing more damage.
Florencio says they weren't sure he would survive.
Got a trach put in, a feeding tube put in.
But Florencio beat the odds and graduated to Trust Point Rehabilitation Hospital, where he's learning to navigate life as a quadriplegic.
He had a very catastrophic injury, and it's probably, you know, being in rehab, we see all the terrible things that happen to people, and he's got the worst thing that ever happens to people.
Dr. Roger Walcott is the medical director here and says secondary complications from this type of injury can be deadly.
His autonomic nervous system that can control his blood pressure can go out of whack, and it can go crazy, and it can clamp down all his arteries and make his blood pressure go up to like 300 over whatever and put him in jeopardy for a stroke.
Florencio has been dealt a bad hand before. In 2017, he passed out while driving. Doctors discovered a spinal infection.
They gave me a 50-50 shot of walking again and a 50-50 shot of making it through the surgery.
Florencio says his progress during recovery left his doctor surprised.
But when I walked into his office, he just was in amazement. He said, I didn't think you were, you know, going to be walking again.
Florencio hasn't lost that determination.
And I've never seen anybody with his kind of injury that has gotten so excited from the gains that he's had already.
Gains like advancing from a sip and puff wheelchair to a wheelchair that can be controlled with a joystick. Victories his parents haven't missed because they never left his side.
How thankful are you to have parents who love you so much?
How do you say it? My cup overfilleth. My parents are a true blessing.
Florencio recently learned more about the shooting and the arrest that followed.
Had you ever met him before?
No.
So just a random stranger?
If I saw a picture of him, you know, I couldn't pick him up out of a lineup.
If you could say anything to the person who pulled the trigger that day, what would you say?
Nothing that I could see on camera.
Florencio says when he feels that anger start to rise, he reminds himself of this.
You can't get all the blessings with all that hate and anger.
And while the shooter certainly changed his life, he didn't take it.
Everybody's got a sad story, but you can't, you can't fake this smile. I'm happy to be here.
A smile that seems to grow anytime his grandchildren are in the room.
There's a lot of joy there. There's a lot of fight to still be here, to be a part of their lives.
A reminder that he's already won the lottery.
She gave a big old smile.
Florencio will move in with his parents so he can have around-the-clock care, but their home will need to undergo renovations to accommodate all of the equipment an injury of this magnitude requires. They will also need to purchase a wheelchair-accessible vehicle. His father had planned to retire, but that's no longer the case as they work to pay for everything insurance won't cover. They just set up an account at Lubbock National Bank. I have information on how you can donate on our website, kcbd.com. Karen and Abner.